Illegal immigration is a serious problem, and we have a crisis on the southern border. Just the other day, Trump tweeted about the largest apprehension ever, 1,036 illegal aliens entering the country. Following this, we're hearing that Trump is taking major action against Mexico to stop illegal immigration. Trump is going to be imposing an ever-increasing tariff on products from Mexico unless they do something about the problem. Now, look. Before we get into any of this, we have a problem. It's a crisis. End of story. Don't take my word for it. You can look at the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Washington Post, etc., who are all saying, yeah, okay, we have a crisis here. So something needs to be done. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but this is Trump dropping the hammer. This is pretty crazy. Trump tweeted, on June 10th, the United States will impose a 5% tariff on all goods coming into the country from Mexico, our country, until such time as illegal migrants coming through Mexico and into our country stop. The tariff will gradually increase until the illegal immigration problem is remedied, at which time the tariffs will be removed. Details from the White House will follow. So apparently, they're going to increase it every month over the next 5 months if Mexico doesn't do something. Surprise, surprise. As soon as Trump announced this, we're hearing breaking news. Mexico wants to set up a meeting in D.C. to talk to Trump to try and solve this problem. I believe this might be in the story, but I want to make sure I get the details right. Now, before we go any further, make sure you go to timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. There's a monthly donation option, cryptocurrency address, physical address, but of course, like and comment. The engagement really, really does help. But let's read what the White House has to say. In a message sent out by the White House, Trump explained that the 5% tariff on Mexico will increase by 5% every month, maxing out at 25% until the flow of illegal immigration comes to a halt. Writing, to address the emergency at the southern border, I am invoking the authorities granted to me by the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Accordingly, starting on June 10th, 2019, the U.S. will impose a 5% tariff on all goods imported from Mexico. If the illegal migration crisis is alleviated through effective actions taken by Mexico, to be determined in our, sole discretion and judgment, the tariffs will be removed. If the crisis persists, however, the tariffs will be raised to 10% on July 1st, 2019. Similarly, if Mexico still has not taken action to dramatically reduce or eliminate the number of illegal aliens crossing its territory into the U.S., tariffs will be increased to 15%. He basically goes on up to 25%. If Mexico fails to act, tariffs will remain at the high level, and companies located in Mexico may start moving back to the U.S. to make their products and goods. Companies that relocate to the U.S. will not pay the tariffs or be affected in any way. This is a two birds with one stone. A lot of companies set up shop in Mexico, especially with NAFTA. So when the products can freely move between Mexico and the U.S., there's no incentive for companies to be in the U.S. when they can get cheaper labor in Mexico. Trump wants those companies back, and he's also using it as leverage so that Mexico takes action to stop these illegal immigrants. Fox News' Greg Ree reports that White House sources have indicated that Mexico needs to step up security efforts on the border, target transnational smugglers, crack down on illicit bus lines, and align with the U.S. on a workable asylum policy, and that there are choke points on the southern border that Mexico could use to sharply curb illegal immigration. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 permits tariffs to be levied by the executive in the event of a national emergency originating from a foreign source, Fox News added. However, the situation could complicate the legislative passage of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, sent to Congress by the White House on Thursday, which aims to broadly limit tariffs among three countries. So why does this matter? Trump recently tweeted about 1,036 migrants who crossed near El Paso as proof we need to fix the border. I believe they actually have footage. This is ridiculous. It's seriously insane. This is a caravan, okay? The caravans haven't stopped coming. The migrant caravans are coming in increasing numbers. We've seen some of the biggest. I think there was a caravan with like tens of thousands of people. Now we have a group of 1,000+ people crossing all at the exact same time through the southern border in El Paso. We're having news agencies repeatedly call out we have a serious humanitarian crisis. Something needs to be done about it. And I believe it was the Wall Street Journal that said, Congress, give Trump his money. Oh, no. That was the New York Times. Crazy. The Wall Street Journal, I think, was earlier than this. They're more conservative. But the New York Times was like, enough. I wonder why this is happening. So here's what we'll do. Right now, if you're watching on YouTube, comment and let me know what you think is driving these people to do this now. I'll give you my theory. The more we hear news about these groups getting in, the more we hear Democrats defending and activists defending them coming in, well, then they have every reason to come. And it's extremely dangerous. You know, it's crazy to me that you have the left talking about fairness and compassion and all that stuff. These people are wandering through the desert without food or water, and children are dying. You know, it's not like there's been dozens. There's been a small group of children, a small handful, and that's enough. One child is too much. So no, we don't want to encourage these people to be wandering through the desert to try and come to this country, especially if they're fleeing violence and they're already in Mexico. So the more we hear about it in the media, the more we hear activists say, oh, defend them and their rights to asylum, well, then they're like, okay, great. What's the worst case scenario? You show up in the U.S., they give you a stamp, they let you go, and then you're here. And then what? Like 90% don't even show up for their hearings? The story says, yesterday, Border Patrol agents apprehended the largest group of illegal aliens ever. 1,036 people who illegally crossed the border in El Paso around 4 a.m. Trump posted to Twitter on Thursday evening, Democrats need to stand by our incredible Border Patrol and finally fix the loopholes at our border. The president also shared a video of the apprehension in his tweet, which showed video surveillance of a large mass of immigrants being wrangled near the El Paso, Texas crossing by Border Patrol agents. With large groups of migrants continuing to try and cross into the U.S., the president says this is just another example of needing to fix the loopholes at the southern border. Trump says the border wall is a good way to ensure security at the border and has clashed with Democrats on funding. Recently, the Pentagon announced it would be redirecting Department of Defense money to fund miles of constructing the border wall. And then we can see a series of tweets for Trump. On Thursday morning, Trump said he would be making an announcement of very dramatic action at the border. Oh, but we now know what that is. Trump's applying a ridiculously large tariff on Mexico. That's going to be bad news for everybody. But I think you look at these pictures, it's not stopping, okay? Interestingly, there's a private wall being built too. It's, you know, as an aside, I'm not going to talk too much about that. But why do the migrants keep coming is the serious question. I mean, for one, yeah, we get it. America is nice. It's not like Mexico isn't nice. A lot of people have this vision of Mexico as a terrifying place. But the migrant caravans that made it to Tijuana's not bad. But now these shelters are being overcrowded. This is a serious, serious problem. There's disease, there's trash, there's feces. One of my friends went down to the migrant caravans near Tijuana and actually checked this out, and it's really, really bad. You cannot just cram all these people into these small spaces, and you can't just open up the border and let everybody in. We have to have security checks. So, again, I throw it to you as to why you think it's happening. For me, I think it's the media. The media that is trying to be partisan to resist Trump. Democrats need a reason. They need something to allow them to be different from the president going in 2020. So they're going to claim what he's doing is immoral. They're going to claim, you know, they want to protect these people. And it's an opportunity for it's these people saying, hey, why not now? But it's dangerous, and it's incentivizing dangerous behavior, and it's not going to work out as they think. This is a big league statement, but we are going to do something very dramatic on the border because people are coming into our country. The Democrats will not give us laws. They will not change laws. They will not meet. They will not do anything. He brought up the speech when asked whether he would respond to a restrictive abortion law in Louisiana. As he does during his campaign rallies and other events, Trump accused Democrats of wanting open borders and wanting drugs pouring into our country, asserted that they want to have crime and want to have human trafficking. Well, that's obviously not true. Okay, I get it, it's hyperbole. You could argue that because Democrats don't want to take action, they're more willing to allow open borders, drugs, and trafficking, etc., because they're trying to counter Trump. In my opinion, one of Trump's big campaign promises, being build the wall, has been resisted every step of the way by Democrats, and all they really say is it's immoral or, you know, it's racist or whatever. Sure, that means nothing to me. The one argument I think makes sense is the cost, but all I see is we have a serious issue that you can actually watch on video. Like, tell me that's not a serious problem. And then the Democrats are saying it's a manufactured crisis. I kid you not. It was like a week or two ago, they said it was a manufactured crisis. I'm like, dude, those are real people, man. Those are real people who need resources. And our border patrol and our law enforcement has to not only, you know, like register and deal with these people, they have to accommodate them, feed them, water. These are resources, okay? You can't just allow these people to wander through the desert and act like nothing is happening. That's what really, really, really blows my mind. The idea that there's a manufactured crisis, as if nothing is going on the border, and we see story after story. I gotta say, I think it boils down to a lot of these people just not doing any research and not actually watching what's happening. And they're so hell-bent on resisting Trump, they're not paying attention that something is actually going on. What's the conspiracy? Okay, let's call it a manufactured crisis. What's the conspiracy? You think the Republicans are funneling money to various nonprofits to send migrants up to the U.S.? That's absurd. Migrants are coming here, regardless of the reason. We have a serious issue. Call it whatever you want. It's a crisis. Asked if he was closing the borders, Trump said no, but then said we're doing something else. He said it will have to do with people illegally coming over the border, saying it would be my biggest statement so far on the border. I guess that's fair to say. 25% tariff as of August 1st. Trump has acted unilaterally to reprogram billions of dollars from military functions to border construction at the U.S.-Mexico border, although some of his actions are tied up in court. Let's talk about 2020. What do you think middle-of-the-road, independent, moderate types are going to think when they see a video of 1,000-plus people coming through the border and the Democrats saying it's a manufactured crisis? What do you think the moderates are going to think when they're like, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal newspapers are saying this is a serious crisis that needs to be dealt with? What do you think the moderates are going to think then when the Democrats don't give Trump the money he needs for law enforcement, for the border patrol? They're going to think the Democrats have lost it. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just the only way I can see it. I was thinking about what does it mean to be a conservative? What does it mean to be a liberal? And why there's this weird space that exists today where there are many people who are traditionally liberal being called conservative. And I thought it was really interesting, right? I have to talk about how the left has gone so far left that people who used to be in the middle are now closer to the right than they are to the left. But it's a really good point. You will end up seeing something very, very simple. Regular middle Americans are now essentially conservatives. Congratulations. The further left the Democrats go, they make conservatives. They're making the conservative side bigger and bigger and bigger. Look, you go talk to a regular old American in the middle of nowhere who doesn't pay attention to the news, and they're going to be like, oh, we got to have border security. And then you show them a video like this of all these migrants pouring in, the massive apprehension, and say, oh, we got to do something. And then tell them this. Well, the Democrats are resisting providing funding for Trump and for ICE and CBP. They're going to be like, that's insane. That's crazy. Now, of course, you'll get some people are going to be pulled to the resistance far left and just reject Trump no matter what it is, no matter what he does. But I think you will find there was an article that was published that said something like, we can't impeach this racist, president because it would ostracize his racist voters who wouldn't vote for us anyway. It was something like that. And I thought that was so insane. You know why? Barack Obama got elected because there were a group of people who voted for Barack Obama and then later voted for Donald Trump, right? So the point I'm trying to make is some of the same people who voted for Obama had to have voted for Trump. Trump won, period. Look at Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Yeah, a lot of Democrat voters in 2008 and 2012 voted for Trump. And they don't seem to get it through their heads. Listen, no, Trump voters are not all racists. Are there some racists who voted for Donald Trump? Sure. Are there some racists who voted for Hillary Clinton? You betcha. Is the average American who's concerned about the economy, immigration, jobs, are they racist? No. Absolutely not. And I would bet over 90+% are not. Sure, there's probably a small handful. But it would make no sense that middle Americans who voted for Obama are the racists voting for Trump. And if you think you don't need these people, then, well, you've just forfeited 2020. That's insane. Trump played the game. Popular vote be damned. Trump played the game. He won. Hillary Clinton played the same game with the same rules, and she lost. Trump is pointing out something that's literally happening that you can watch on video. What's your response? What are you going to do? Seriously, the Democrats needed to come out and say, we agree on this issue. Plain and simple. But they're being, they're anti-Trump for the sake of anti-Trump. They're anti-Trump for the sake of being the resistance. It is the most insane strategy I've ever seen. There's nothing wrong with saying, I agree with the president on this issue. We need to enhance border security and deal with this crisis. We'll talk about economics, policy, and culture later. There's nothing wrong with that. The Democrats, not all of them, of course, right? There's still there are some Democrats I think do a fantastic job, and I never want to blanket anybody. There's some Republicans who do a terrible job, and for the most part, I disagree with a lot of the Republican policy. But what's easy for me is to be like, wow, that's crazy. Trump's going to do something about this, right? Are the Democrats going to help? They're not. What? That's mind-blowing to me. So I sit here as, I guess a traditional liberal, like in 2008, border security was on the Democratic platform. And Chuck Schumer smirks and says, who would be for, opening borders? Bernie Sanders, even a month ago, said, no, open borders. We got to secure our borders. Where are they now? It's mind-blowing, man. Disappointing and depressing, I guess. But this is the nature of partisan politics in 2019 and going in 2020. It's less about what's right. It's less about what needs to be done to help the migrants and to help Americans, and more about resisting Trump for the sake of resisting. And then you see someone like Jim Acosta say this utter nonsense, that neutrality for the sake of neutrality. What are you talking about, man? No, Jim Acosta is anti-Trump for the sake of being anti-Trump. Okay? You can, listen, I do it all the time. Rag on Trump for his demeanor, for his foreign policy, and then say, border security, gotta agree with him. Don't like the guy, you don't have to like the guy. We gotta solve problems. And there's no reason why, you got a neighbor who's an ass. I just swore I shouldn't have done it. You got a neighbor who's a bad person. You can still figure out how to build that fence to take care of both of your properties and not like each other. You can still vote on city ordinance issues that benefit your block without liking each other. It's that simple. Now you got me all swearing. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Stick around. I got more segments coming up later today. For those on the podcast, it'll be coming shortly. For everyone else, 1 p.m. youtube.com/Timcast, and I will see you all then.